Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this DataShed 5 webinar. Today's topic will be going through some of the new features available in DataShed 5 version 3.2. The first feature that I'd like to run through this afternoon is the new external connections, which can be found underneath the Hello User menu. The external connections basically allows each user, if they have an MX API key, they can now rotate and copy their key. This key is used in other applications or other add-ons, such as the QGIS plugin for connecting QGIS and grabbing data out of DataShed directly. If you have the MX API license, then this will be available, otherwise it will be grayed out. The X's here basically just hash out what your MX API key is. To rotate your key, you click on this green button over here. You'll get prompted, are you sure you want to rotate the key? Say yes. You get a message that the key has successfully been rotated, and you can see your new key displayed here. It's a very, very long string. Basically, it contains your username. It contains the database that you're going to connect to. So it's really designed to be a personal data item. It's not meant to be shared. Once you've rotated the key, you can see this button here changes, and that becomes a copy. You click on that, that's copied your key to your clipboard. The idea is you would paste that away into a text file and store it away for safekeepings. Once you rotate your key, your previous key has been expired and will no longer work. The next feature that we have is the Partner Connections panel. In here, we have the ALS connections with a little green tick that's telling us that we have a successful connection. What that will do is in extensions such as sample dispatch, currently you have the option to generate your sample dispatches and to submit them via email. If you have the ALS partner connection configured, that will allow you to submit the sample dispatch directly into ALS WebTrieve just by clicking the send button in the sample dispatch. If we click on this ALS icon, you see it prompts for a username and a password. You click save. If it's successful, you'll get a green message up here saying the connection has been successful, and you get a green tick in the top right-hand corner of the icon. If the connection is not successful, instead of seeing this green tick, you'll actually get a yellow alert triangle symbol sitting up there. The third item that we have under external connections is the QGIS plugin. You simply click on this and we will see that will download the plugin, the QGIS MXMDS plugin, directly into your downloads folder. It's in a zip file. For those of you who have not used this yet, the simple way to use that zip file is under your plugins manager in QGIS. You just click on install from zip file, click on your QGIS API.zip file, and that will install the plugin. Moving on to the other features that I'd like to show you today is we now have multi-tab and multi-window available within DataShed. If we go into drilling management, we can open up collars. And then we can do a right click on view data, and we have the option to open in a new tab or open in a new window. Choose open in a new tab, and we can drag that tab out and make it a new window. And if I go into colors and I set a filter, turn on this filter for a whole type of AC. So we've only got whole type, and we've got the filter up here in green. Now, if we go over to our new tab and I go into drilling management and I choose table, say lithology, you see the table, the lithology table will open up. It's already got the cascade filter applied to it, and we can only see the AC drill holes. If we go back into our original screen and we turn this cascade filter off, then we pop back into our second window. If we hit refresh, you'll see that the filter, the cascade filter, no longer applies to this window. There's some other pretty handy features that this multiple window opens up. Before we step into them, I will say that if you're closing down second, third, or fourth windows or tabs that you have open, do not go to log off. That will not only close this current window, it'll close every single window that you have open. The way to close them off is just to hit the X in the top right-hand corner. Now, a good example of where this would be handy to have your multiple windows open would be if you're importing data. You could open that in a new tab. You could open Assay Manager in a new tab. Matter of fact, you might want to open two Assay Manager tabs. You see this first tab, we've got our import data. Second tab, we've got Assay Manager. In the third, we can go into Assay Manager and library tables, for example. And then you can import your data, review the data imported in Assay Manager. And if you need to make any adjustments within your libraries, everything's convenient and close at hand. And then back in your view tab here, you can see the imported data that has come in. This, the right click, that will operate on view data. It'll operate on reports, dashboards, import data, and Assay Manager, and export data. Under map view, you don't have a right click on map view as such, but if you go into your map views, you do have the right click option on each map view. In this case, you could open up a new window, just minimize that down. Then we could go into here again, and then we could go in and open up another column or a point table. I won't open the point table because there's over 10,000 or so points in there. And we can view in, and this one didn't seem to work too well. And we can zoom in, and in one window we can see map view for Australia, and in another window we'll be able to see a map view of Botswana. Another feature that I think is worthwhile highlighting is the data grid, the main data grid. It's not something that you would necessarily see visually, but the data grids now load in a different manner, and basically filtering and loading of the grid is now done through an API queries directly into the database in the back end. So it actually speeds up data grid loading. We've also improved inline editing. As you can see, if you click on a record, you now get a save and a cancel button. Validation is a bit different. If we also edit in here, if I try to click out of that field, it will say that we have unsaved changes. Do we want to discard and switch rows? Yes or no? I'll say no. If I hit save on this edit, it'll give me an error message. Obviously, whole type DZ does not exist. Then I can just click this cancel and it will roll back the edit, or the misedit in this case, and return the grid to a viewing rather than a inline editing that we have available. Under the import data, we've put a bit of work in here, and you'll notice that we, instead of having one drop-down list here, we now have two. The first drop-down list, you will select your layout type, either Excel, CSV, assay file, XRF, or if you have an MDS5 database, you'll also get control points. The idea is that some layout lists were getting horrendously long, and it was confusing and difficult for people to scroll through and find their saved layouts. So we've decided to add this drop down in, and what we choose here directly controls what is available in the selected import layouts. If I go back and choose Excel spreadsheet, you see we get a different selection here. This change here, where you need to select the layout type and then we have the filtered layouts list, is also the same on the import layout configurations. Once again, choose XRF, we get those layouts. We choose Excel, we'll get the Excel layouts. If we click on the buffer mods layout that I've put here, you'll be able to see that there's been the reintroduction of features that were in DataShed 4 that were not in DataShed 5. In this action column here, we now have the update to, SQL delete, and the SQL update. As you can see, I've got an example here where we have date started, update to, get date. We have two SQL updates, prospect. We have a case when the whole ID is that, then this is the prospect, whole ID is this is prospect. Otherwise, just stick with the prospect value that's in the imported data file. And we've got another SQL update that's on our lease ID. Let's see how that looks. If I choose Excel spreadsheet, select our buffer mods layout, load the data file, choose a default data set and a date format. If I click load, we'll see that prospects, where they were, the draw hole was max 16, has been set to parrot, where it was max 11 was set to goblin, and where it was max 11, the lease ID has been set as well. We also get a warning here that there is a incorrect date format. And these dates down here in the date started with the date timestamp on it, they were dates that were filled in from the update to, no, yes, the update to that we saw in the buffer import layout. As you will no doubt recognize, this date started will cause a problem because of the time component on it. So in the buffer table, we can edit data in the buffer table directly, which has always been available. And that invalid date format has been corrected. Or we can use a new feature, which is to right-click in the header of any buffer table column, and we now have find and replace. If we select find and replace, you get this pop-up window, and it's titled with find and replace for and the column that you've had that doing the find and replace on. In this example, I'll just paste in that time format. I'll paste it down here and I'll just remove the time component. Click on apply. It tells us that we have 7 occurrences, which will be actioned. Click OK. 7 replacements made. Close this window. There's our date started, reformatted in one easy process. The SQL update and the update 2 has a wide number of functions that are available. You have functions like concat, left to right substring, trim, L trim, right trim, replace, various date functions, date add, date diff, get date, is date, system date time. And you also have some advanced functions. The immediate if, is null, is numeric, convert, that sort of thing. What we don't support are numeric functions such as round, abs, and ceiling. Just go back into the import layout configurations and we'll just have another look through these buffer modifications. That's the case of the immediate if that I mentioned. We got a case statement here, and we just got using the where clause in this here. Text obviously needs to be in single quotes, and field names need to be in their proper case. And I seem to have sped through this rather quickly. That was really all I was planning on covering in this this session for today. What I'd like to do is open it up for comment or feedback at this stage, if I could, please. Just having a look in the chat window. I don't actually see any comments in there, any questions in there at this stage. Okay, got a question. Oh, thank you, Jeremy. Got a question from Jeremy. Once the created import layouts, can they be used for automation? I'd have to take that on notice and follow up with Carolyn, Jeremy. I know that with the PXRF importing that's coming on, that those layouts can be. I would presume that these layouts can be, but I would have to follow up and get back to you on that question. They've got a question from Bill Anderson. What are the prerequisites for upgrading from DS5V 3.1 to 3.2? Essentially, if you are hosted in the cloud, you would have received the 3.2 upgrade week and a half ago. The next group that will be receiving the 3.2 upgrade will be Cloud Admin group. We haven't got that finalized as yet, but we would expect that will be available within the next 2 to 3 weeks, certainly within the next month. Following that, the group remaining on-prem would be a case-by-case basis, following on after the cloud admins. Just got another question from one of our guests today who joined a little bit late. What's new in DataShed 3.2? Basically, there is quite a bit new in this. What I would do is, just bear with me, please. Just quickly bring up the release notes for that, which are all available within the DataShed 5 knowledge base. And essentially, if we scroll through these release notes, the new features that are enhanced is the external connections, which I went through, the API key, which we just saw, the multi-tab, multi-window, dual screen, filter synchronization, which I demonstrated with the cascade filters, the general user interface enhancements, import data being broken up between these two layout type before you select your layouts. We have PXRF import layout interface, which is now available. Export data, we can now modify the layouts. We can specify decimals. In this example, no decimals are specified, so what will happen is it will revert to the decimal precision that's set on that field within the database. Output, you can see here, there's 2 decimals. Went back in, changed the decimals to 6, and you can see we get 6 decimal precision. Just a quick example there. CSV export has been standardized, I guess. Layouts are now editable by all users. Export scheme layout limits. This is probably worthwhile talking about. Before, there was a practical limit. I think it was about 30 odd layouts. Now, essentially, you can have 100+ layouts. There is no limit to how many layouts you can have attached to an export scheme. And the assay manager reprocess. And in assay manager, actually, it's probably worthwhile demonstrating that in DataShed itself. We go into assay manager here and just set this back to some ridiculous time. If we expand the unmerged assay results now, we now get this target data set for if you want to select a target data set, and then any unprocessed, any unmerged assay results that are in here will be assigned to this data set in here. And we went through the update 2 and SQL update during that session. And the other thing is really in the sample dispatch now, which I can show you, related to what I showed earlier with the external connections. If we go into sample dispatch and we click on a existing dispatch. If the laboratory, just let me quickly go into our library table, company. If there's a laboratory, and we scroll all the way across to the right here, and if we give it a code, if it has a correct code in here, we go back to our extension and look at sample dispatch again. Just edit this, change this to ALS Cal. You can see it's got this KA on the end. What that will do is it makes this send via API button live. It was grayed out previously, and provided we have enough information stored in our reporting tab, email job 2, and send via API. What that will do is pop up another modal window here in a second. Here we go, by clicking yes. Now, obviously, I haven't filled out enough information in this sample dispatch, but what it does, pops up another API, another modal window, and then you can fill out some more details, and you click the submit button, and it will submit the sample dispatch straight into ALS WebTrieve. And that's pretty much, oh, yes, the other feature that is new in DataShed 5 now from this upgrade is under the Intercept calculator extension, we can now create packages. Another thing we brought in from DataShed 4 into DataShed 5, if you click on any package, this screen will populate with the configuration. You can click on new package. You can then validate the package, proceed, process the package, save the layout. So that's a fairly new, fairly significant improvement as well. Is it an intent to have MCP Server implemented? At this stage, we have not had any discussions about that, David. But we can certainly take that on board and discuss it with the rest of the team. Is the API a paid add-on? It is at this stage. I'm sorry I can't furnish you with what the actual cost is for that, because I think that's still in discussions, but I believe it would be a minimal charge. Where you would actually get to your API licensing, you can actually self-request that. Just make this a little bit larger. If we go into databases and we go into licensing, your MX API license comes under here, same as your extensions and same as your user roles. If you wanted to change your licensing, you can just click on the edit button here, click on request license, and you can then choose the number of users. If you hit submit, you'll be issued with those licenses immediately, but it will also trigger accounts to fire off a invoice immediately as well. So please do not hit the submit request button unless you are authorized and know what you're spending. A little bit more about the QGIS integration. I think I did a demonstration on the QGIS plugin recently, or a couple of months ago, but basically what the QGIS plugin, it will just sit in QGIS. It's just a plugin. It's accessible from the top toolbar in QGIS, and once you type in a few configuration details, then you can put in your SQL statement, and you'll be able to download that data directly into QGIS. There is in our knowledge base, if you go into training videos, you can go into DataShed V32 training videos, and it's not in there at the moment. Okay, it will be in here. It's probably in the 3.1 DataShed. I'll have to get that transferred over here. But there are some videos available here, grid transformations for those clients who have MDS5, external connections gone into more detail, and there's a short video on PXRF data importing as well, which I encourage you, anybody interested, to dive in and have a look. And that's brought us to the bottom of the hour and the conclusion of today's webinar session. So if there's no more questions or no more or nothing else, I'll say thank you very much for joining, and enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll catch up next time. Thank you.